Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development hosts a seminar to address the issues surrounding gender-based violence. The Chaguanas Borough Corporation hosts award ceremony. And in sport, action resumes in the TT Pro League. Thank you for joining us. A seminar on gender-based violence was collaboratively hosted by the Embassy of Chile, the United Nations Systems in Trinidad and Tobago, and the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development. The seminar sought to address the issues surrounding gender-based violence and to raise awareness about its effects in women and men.
Domestic violence is a serious problem worldwide, and the objective of this seminar is to sensitize the public about gender-based violence through sharing experiences. Women are one of the main victims of domestic violence, and 30% of them at home have suffered domestic violence in the world. Unfortunately, this reality is no different from Trinidad and Tobago or in Chile.
In my country, for example, not only 1 out of 3 of women has suffered domestic violence, but during this year, 30 women were killed by their partners. Violence against women is recognized in our legal system because this kind of violence is a violation of human rights.
The Chilean ambassador says gender-based violence crime is against the dignity of people that destroys people and society. In 2005, the Chilean state created a law to prevent domestic violence, protect the victims, and punish the offenders. Speaking at the seminar, Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, the Honorable Clifton Decoto, says it was indeed a rewarding experience.
Let me add that partnering with the Embassy of Chile and the United Nations system in hosting this seminar has been a very rewarding exercise. We at the Ministry continue to feel assured that the work of bringing gender and development issues such as gender-based violence to the forefront is high on the agenda for all stakeholders involved. This seminar provides a great opportunity for the necessary exchange of experiences and best practices between Trinidad and Tobago and Chile.
The minister believes that this collaboration will enhance the ability of good governance in Trinidad and Tobago to effectively address gender-based violence.
Gender-based violence can be described as any harm that is perpetrated against a person based on that individual's gender, that has a negative impact on the physical or psychological health, development, and identity of the person. It may be physical, sexual, psychological, economic, or social cultural, and includes rape, domestic violence, sexual assault, trafficking of women and girls, prostitution, female genital mutilation, harassment, and forced marriage.
Gender-based violence is an issue that cuts across all races and cultures, with the majority of cases involving women and girls, but which also affects men and boys. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
In other news, Chaguanas community activists have been honored at an award ceremony held by the Chaguanas Borough Corporation. At the ceremony, employees of the corporation were also honored and their contribution to the Chaguanas community hailed by Senator the Honorable Vasant Bharat, Minister of Trade, Industry and Commerce.
Police Inspector Johnny Abraham, Pastor Reverend Daniel Tilak Singh, businessman George Aboud, and former Minister Manohar Ramsaran. These are just some of the more notable persons who have been honored by the Chaguanas Borough Corporation. The awardees have all been presented with a plaque with an official mayor's citation for meritorious service. Addressing the awardees, Minister Bharat praises the honorees for their contribution to the development of Chaguanas.
None of what the Borough of Chaguanas has accomplished for its 83,000 plus residents could possibly have been done without the active support and hard work of all of those who have been honored today.
He adds that they can be an example for all the youth of Trinidad and Tobago.
It is said that excellence is not a skill. It is indeed an attitude, and it's something that I think that we need to teach more and more of our young people that really and truly excellence is indeed not a skill, but it's a habit that's created based on an attitude that we develop over a period of time. The history of the growth of businesses in the Chaguanas area should be a source of great encouragement for entrepreneurs, especially the young amongst us here today.
Minister Barath reserved some of his praise, however, for some persons who, he believes, contribute immensely to the nation but are not given the credit and encouragement they deserve.
The farmers of our country, your friends and your families, are extremely important to the economic activity of Trinidad and Tobago. And many of them farm in the areas of Edinburgh, Felicity, Cunupia and Carsonfield, and they have an absolutely critical role to play in the national development goal of achieving food security and food sustainability.
Minister Barath urges the honorees to always remember the importance of developing community spirit and its powerful impact.
Continue to be socially responsible and engage in community spirit. Always remember that the family is the basic unit of any society, and strong families make for stronger societies and robust and successful economies.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
When we come back, the Oropoon Housing Development benefits from a new walkover. Stay with us. Residents coming in and out of Valencia will no longer have to face the daily terror of traffic. This comes as an ease in the commute will soon be a reality through the construction of the new Valencia bypass road. Works and Infrastructure Minister Dr. the Honorable Surajratan Ramachan turned the sod for the construction project, which is commenced or expected to commence on October 31st.
Commuters coming from the east along the Valencia main road can soon expect some relief from the daily morning traffic as construction of a new bypass road has commenced. The project under the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure seeks to alleviate the traffic woes via the creation of a new road passing through the Aripo savannas. Line Minister Dr. Surajratan Ramachan says construction is expected to take 8 months for completion at a cost of $100 million.
The project is estimated to cost approximately $100 million. And as you saw, it will involve the upgrading of Silica Road, Barbuda extension, and then there's also the Aripo West and Aripo East aspects of the project.
The construction of this road will be executed in 3 phases. Phase 1 will be the rehabilitation of Barbuda extension and will include construction of concrete drainage channels. In Phase 2, Silica Sands Road will be rehabilitated and widened to include 2 lanes and shoulders. The final phase will be the construction of a new roadway that will take commuters to the eastern main road after Valencia Junction. Project engineer at the Program for Upgrading Road Efficiency, PURE, Hayden Canute Phillip, explained how construction will be undertaken.
The new roadway construction, which will take place from here and head east, has been split up in 2 areas. It's basically a Aripo East and a Aripo West. Right? This is all virgin territory, so we'll be clearing and grading the existing terrain. There'll be brand new road construction, again, 2 standard lanes and shoulders, and we'll also take into account drainage. With respect to the bridges, the Valencia bypass bridges themselves will be 2 reinforced concrete bridges, the largest being 25 meters in span and the smallest being 15 meters. A technique will be used called continuous flight watering, including construction of the piles. Both bridges, again, will be able to contain 2 lanes of traffic as well as shoulders.
Minister Ramachan explained the need for supporting infrastructure that takes into consideration hydraulic factors, preventing any flooding in the area, as well as stabilization to prevent any effects from tectonic movements in the earth.
The pavements indicate that there's some land movement taking place there. So there has to be stabilization of that area and not just the milling and paving of the road. The whole area has to be stabilized. So sometimes you look at a project and you say, boy, 1.2 kilometers of roadway and it costs $5 million. And you wonder why. Well, there's several reasons for it. When you go to do a piece of work like that, you have to decide how deep you're going to cut to mill. Is it 2 inches? Is it 6 inches? What is the condition of the subbase of the road? Do we have to do the subbase and so on? So it's not as simple as I'm simply saying just repave the road. That is why we had to repave the road every 18 months, because we were not taking the time to do the kind of technical study and decide what has to be in order to ensure that these roads will last.
However, going beyond the construction of a roadway and another project is a partnering with the community to become more involved in the works being undertaken. Minister Rambachan says this new approach is viewed as a ministry outreach to communities across the country.
In all the projects that we are now doing at the Ministry of Works, we have what is called a community outreach component. A community outreach component. When we go into a community and we disrupt, as we are going to disrupt the lives of people, we must be able to make up for that disruption. And therefore, we are now putting a component in our projects called community outreach. It might be that Dr. Griffith has a village in the area of this project where there are lots of children and they may need a small homework center, or they may need a play park. And we are prepared at the Ministry of Works to facilitate this in order to engender better neighborly relations between the contractors, between the Ministry of Works and the communities where we go to work. Whenever they have the opportunity to participate in building something, they have greater commitment to it and they have greater ownership of it over the long run. And it is that principle also that will underlie your cooperation in giving work to the people in the area so that they can feel that they have built this.
Construction of the Valencia bypass road will commence on 31st October 2013. As a result, motorists are advised to kindly proceed with caution and observe all directional signs and barriers. Comply with instruction from police officers, flagmen on site to facilitate the safe flow of traffic in an orderly manner, and be aware of heavy equipment entering and exiting the site. It also calls on motorists to drive at a reduced speed on approaching the site entry and exit locations. The ministry regrets any inconvenience caused and thanks the public for its cooperation. Kimberam Kalawan, News 4.
The Orapun housing development will now benefit from a new walkover. The construction of the walkover was in dire need as often residents attempting to get to one side of the highway ran across the 6 lanes of high-speed traffic, endangering their lives. Works and Infrastructure Minister Dr. The Honorable Surajratan Rambachan, opening the crossover, urged the residents to make full use of it.
Orapun residents no longer have to worry about running across 6 lanes of traffic to get to the other side of the highway, as a new pedestrian walkover has been constructed. The overpass was built and designed by Pure, Program for Upgrading Roads Efficiency. Works and Infrastructure Minister Dr. Surajratan Rambachan says additions such as a bus shed will soon be installed to cater to the elderly.
I have asked my colleague, Mr. Hayden Phillips, to do one more thing for me, which is to build 2 sheds, like bus sheds on both sides of the walkway, so that people who are waiting for transport will be able to access transport, and especially the elderly people will have a place to sit while they wait for transport. If those bus sheds can be built in a way to accommodate a toilet facility, it will also be greatly appreciated if that can be added to it, so that we'll have a sort of complete facility on the site. The other thing that we are looking at, it has been done before, but we are looking at that again, is that elderly people, yes, may have a little difficulty climbing the stairs. So we are looking in the future designs to put in an elevator on both sides of the pedestrian walkway, which can be used to access.
MP for the Area Legal Affairs Minister Prakash Ramada says the long-awaited bridge cost far less than originally budgeted for, as the ministry ensured value was given for the works.
The original estimates was for $10 million. And working with a renewed vigor and sense of value for money, and getting away from the belief that government funds are unlimited and it is about profits for contractors, I'm delighted to have learnt that that figure had been cut to far less than half of what was originally estimated. Let us understand what that means. That if in fact it would have cost 10 million, and then it turned out to have cost less than 5, I think it is $4 million. Instead of one, some other community could possibly benefit from another pedestrian overpass. And that is a value to me, being in politics, to cut out the fat, to cut out wastage, to ensure that the community truly gets value for money.
For years, residents have lost their lives attempting to cross the busy highway despite incoming speeding vehicles. The Works Minister urged residents to change their road safety culture and utilize the bridge for their own good.
How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that kind of attitudinal change? Because right here, we are opening this bridge. They can walk over the overpass, but look at the car speeding, and two women choose instead to walk across the road on a morning like this. So you see, in a real way, governments and institutions and agencies can do so much. But sometimes we require the attitudinal shift. We require the behavioral change so that people can become responsible even for themselves. Now, they may be saying that it's too high to climb and to cross the overpass. Well, what price do you wish to put on your life?
The walkover is 6 meters in height with 75 meters of footpath. Kimberam Kalawan, News 4.
Football features in our sportcast right after the break. Stay with us. Point Fortin Civic FC and W Connection FC aim to keep their perfect records when action resumed in the TT Pro League on Tuesday, but they had contrasting fortunes. News 4 Sports was at the Atto Boldon Stadium, and Wayne Cunningham has the details.
It was goalless at the end of the first half as Pro League leaders W Connection FC took on Northeast Stars on match day 4 of the first round. Connection were looking dangerous though, and the inevitable happened in the 67th minute. Jarrell Brittle doing the honours for the Savanetta boys. Northeast keeper Leon John would not appreciate this replay. They then turned on the style as Brittle fails to connect at the end of this play. Stuart Charles Furvey's men doubled their lead in the 71st minute with a rocket from Jovin Jones. Placement and pace, making it difficult for the keeper to get. That was all the scoring in the match. W Connection keeping the 100% record with a 2-0 win. In Game 2 at the Atto Boldon, Point Fortin Civic FC would need a win versus Central FC to keep pace with W, and they were holding their own until the 41st minute. That's when Marvin Oliver won the loose ball from a Jason McCarno free kick and set up Rondell Winchester to slot home. 1-0 is how they went in at the half. As the second period began, Winchester shows why he's considered as the new sensation on the national team when he takes advantage of some confusion and strikes again, 2-0 in the 46th minute. The lanky Tobagonian was not done. Makano with another teasing free kick, and Winchester gets the orb just across the line before Miguel Payne could gather. The ball clearly crossing the goal line before the keeper could get. 3-0 Central. The men in black were also defending well. Jamal Jack playing this effort from Bevan Bass off the line. They were also looking for more. But 3-0 is how it would finish. Central FC ending the perfect record of Point Fortin. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
News 4 continues right after the break. Stay with us. Trinidad and Tobago joined the rest of the world to celebrate World Food Day on October 18, 2013, as this country continues to make steps towards food security.
World Food Day is celebrated every year around the world on October 16th in honor of the date of the founding of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in 1945. Each year, more than 150 countries celebrate the day, raising awareness of the issues behind poverty and hunger. This year, the theme of World Food Day is Sustainable Food Systems for Food Security and Nutrition, and was recognized by the Ministry of Food Production with a symbolic ribbon cutting and exhibition at the Brian Lara Promenade, which followed a formal function at the Central Bank Auditorium on Wednesday.
The global food market works well for those who have money, but fails to respond to the needs of the poor. Even now, about 840 million fellow humans face daily food shortages that prevent them from working, stunt the growth of their children, expose them to illness, and lead to premature death. The health of another 2 billion people is compromised by nutrient deficiencies. And at the other end of the spectrum, another 1.5 billion are overweight or obese, consuming more food than their bodies need and exposing themselves to greater threats of diabetes, heart problems, and other diseases.
Relaying a message from United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, UN Resident Coordinator Richard Blewett explained how a concerted effort by all could impact on world hunger and obesity.
The key to better nutrition and ultimately to ensuring each person's right to food lies in better food systems, smarter approaches, policies and investments encompassing the environment, people, institutions and processes by which agricultural products are produced, processed and bought to consumers in a sustainable manner. I am pleased that many countries around the world have joined our Zero Hunger Challenge and pledged to work together for sustainable food systems. Together we can help make sure that everyone has enough nutritious food each day and every day. On this World Food Day, let us aim for achieving zero hunger in our lifetimes for one and all.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Food Production, Myrna Thompson, spoke of the many initiatives under the ministry and the resulting impact on the agriculture sector.
In respect of the general agricultural sector, through the initiatives, the Ministry of Food Production has noted that the agricultural sector has expanded by 5.1% in 2013 from the previous years. Additionally, the contribution of agriculture to GDP in 2009 was $345.9 million, and this has increased by 77% to $610.8 million in 2013. Furthermore, there has been a 2% reduction in the estimated 4 billion food import bill from 2010 to 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, we are well on our way.
The World Food Day exhibition attracted a large crowd of persons who were making their way through the capital city. There were many educational booths and opportunities for persons who had interests in the agriculture sector. The World Food Day National Committee was responsible for the coordination and success of the day's activities and is expected to build on that success and widen the local reach of the annual event. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.